Hi everyone, I have Amrita with me today. Hi Amrita, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Amrita, absolutely doing good. Great to have you in this episode of the podcast. Uh, so, quick introduction who Amrita is. Amrita is the Chief Lending Officer and Collections Officer at SafeAmerica Credit Union, based out of the Bay Area. She has been in California and the Bay Area for now decades now. She has close to, I would say, what, like 3 decades, 3 decades of experience in the
Almost,
credit,
yeah.
3 decades 3 decades in the credit union ecosystem. So like, I mean, she's like, I mean, she has an inbuilt credit union motto in her life, right? She spent almost half of her life in credit unions. Uh, apart from what she does at Safe America, she's also very active in the California Credit Union League. She is in the board of the East Bay network of the league, and she's a very active member out there, lobbying, I would say, right? And helping the credit union movements prosper in the East Bay specifically. Uh, on the personal side, Amrita, we are just having a chat before this. Amrita is married with one daughter. So she loves to spend time with her family apart from what she does at the credit union. Uh, I hope, Amrita, I've been able to do at least, some justice to the introduction. I'll ask you a question in case, I've missed something. Please feel free to add. If not, I'll ask you one specific question. Let's talk about your journey. I mean, it's not an easy one, right? You moved on to this country long back. So if you want to talk about that, I mean, it's very similar to of mine. I also moved on to the country a couple of years back. It's almost same with you. Obviously, not a couple of years back for you. It was like very long back, right? When you talk about the journey, Amrita, it'll be interesting for us to hear.
So I migrated to United States in 1999. I migrated from Fiji Islands, came to United States in January of 1999, and I joined Safe America in March of 1999. Um, my background was from a bank, so I used to work for a bank in Fiji Islands. And then I joined the credit union, not really knowing what a credit union was. But once I joined, and I knew the credit union movement, I knew this was my place to stay. So I started with as a member service rep when I first joined, and then I worked my way up. From there, I went to lending department, which is my heart and soul. I love doing lending. And from there, I went into leadership role, became the lending manager. From there, I moved to the vice president of lending, and now eventually to my current job of chief lending and collection officer. So that has been my journey coming, being migrating here and moving up to the leadership role at Safe America. And
Mhm.
I love what I do.
That sounds interesting. I mean, immigrant journey for me is always very fascinating and very heartfelt, right? Because I've gone through the same thing. Uh, thank you, Amrita, for sharing your story with us, right? Uh, I know that you're a CLO and a Chief Collections Officer at the credit union, but obviously you do 10 different things apart from this, right? So what is your current role over there in the credit union? And if you can talk a bit about also your involvement with the California Credit Union League, I mean, how does your current role in the credit union help you? I would say help you to uh, what do I say? Preach, right? Preach is a very wrong word to use, might be right, but help you to take the credit union movement ahead in the Bay Area, working with the league. If you want to touch upon a couple of pointers, it will be
Sure.
great.
So, as my role as Chief Lending Officer, I oversee the entire
Mhm.
loan originations, lending to our members, strategic planning, helping our members on daily basis with their loan needs. Also, on the other side, I look after our collection department, help our
Mhm.
members who might need assistance in their payments. So that's also something that falls within my area. And I'm very active in East Bay network of the Credit Union League. And what we try to do at the league is to advance people's careers. I mean, we
Hmm.
provide education, we provide speakers. In fact, we have a event coming up where we have female CEOs going to talk about the experience. The event is next week. So we try to help credit union professionals with increasing their career path and providing them with some education and
Hmm.
role models.
Hmm.
So that with my role as lending, I'm able to provide a lot of things of how to improve your credit score. Why is improving your credit score important? So, things like that that I'm involved with is by network, and it's
Hmm.
very fulfilling thing to do to the community and help them prosper.
No, obviously, I mean, just being in the silo and looking at things at your credit union is not what you do. I mean, you're much more outward thinking than
Mhm.
looking inward, because that's where innovation happens. That's where you actually think about member experience, right? And unless you do that, it's very difficult to broaden your horizon, and that's fantastic to know, right? Uh, Amrita, obviously, it has taken around 3 decades for you to reach a C level at a credit union, right? Let's talk about your journey, right? And about your journey to leadership, and a question piggybacking on the same question would be, I know that it took you so much time to arrive at a sea level. You might have faced multiple challenges, right? Being a female leader specifically, plus an immigrant. So if you want to talk about that journey along with a few challenges that you actually did overcome, and that reminds,
Sure.
and it reminds you, that will
So
be, great.
when I first moved into the leadership role, and I'm talking about 2 decades back, not having a female role model in leadership, something that you can look up. I mean, thankfully now we have a lot of female role models in leadership, but at that time it wasn't that many. So just having role models um, not there was a little bit challenging.
Mhm.
Also, the old stereotypes, right? I mean, being a female in a room full of men, the stereotypes that comes up with that, right? They'll I give you an example. They'll talk about sports or things that I'm not aware of, and
I
that that
bet.
that stereotype was there. And thankfully, I've seen over the decades that that has changed. Also, one of the other things I faced a lot was lack of flexibility to have work and life balance. Nowadays, we talk about remote work, being able to balance it out, but at that point, most of us didn't have any remote work. So not having
Yep.
that flexibility, having a small kid, but also trying to work the long hours, being new in the leadership role,
Not
that
really.
was very challenging. But one of the things that I have learned and I always pass through is the hard work. Put your head down, do the hard work, and it will be seen. And always be open to change. That has
Yep.
really helped me. And the hunger for knowledge, always trying to learn, open to change, do your hard work, and it will show. It and it did in my case. So that's some of the things that I really keep with me wherever I go.
So what I can understand, or what I hear from you, Amrita, is it's a journey of sheer hard work, right?
Yes.
That 0 to 1 journey. And I mean, I always become so emotional in these interviews, because exact same journey for me. I come from a very, very small little town back in India. Okay, from there to working out of New York, it's a blessing, and I would say just hard work. That's all. And I feel the same thing for you. You coming from Fiji, working out of now a sea level in a Bay Area with a credit union. I'm sure that the journey hasn't been easy, and it's an inspiration. It's an inspiration for a lot of people who can draw that, even if you migrate from a different country, You get to start from zero, right? And that's what you've done. That's a very motivating and inspiring story I would talk about, right? Uh, since this is going in that direction, Amrita, I would ask you a question about there are a lot of people like us, like me and you, right? And I mean, a few days back, I was talking to someone called Steffi. Steffi Tomlin is a VP of Innovation at True Sky Credit Union, right? Very similar. She came to this country like 10 years back for a master's, I think for a bachelor's. Now she's been a VP within like 9 or 8 years working in the credit union. So you people actually are a motivation for the entire cloud, I would say, right? Do you have any tips and advice for, I would say, female leaders or aspiring female leaders within credit unions, right? Who aspire to be an Amrita, let's put it that, who aspire to be an Amrita 20 years later, right? If you can share any tips and advice, uh, that will be
Sure.
fantastic.
Sure, just like I said, hard work always pays. But also, what has helped me along is finding the right mentors. You know, get the right mentors. There were times
Mm,
when I didn't recognize my own skills, and I had a
mhm,
mentor who saw that I could do it
mhm,
and pushed me through. So
mhm,
finding the right mentors, hard work, and
mhm,
then one thing I live by is there's a saying. They said, I didn't have a seat at the table. My thing is create the seat for yourself at the table. So push yourself, believe in yourself. Hard work pays. There are mentors along the way. Find the right mentors. What I say is always cut out the noise. Cut the noise out. Look at what you want to do. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can do this,
mhm.
and that can really take you forward. That can really take you forward.
I mean, the need for mentors is very important. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, I would not have been what I've been doing right now without a couple of mentors 9 years back when I was fresh out of my engineering college. If they wouldn't have told me, right, this is what you need to do. I mean, very similarly, my current boss over here, Vikas. So, I don't consider him as my boss. He's more of a mentor. I mean, any problem I go and tell him because this is the roadblock that I have, or this is what I want to do. What do I do about it, right? So he's a person, a lot of patience. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this one, two, three to get this four. So I think, yeah, right mentorship is very important. And, do you want to emphasize a bit more on, Amrita, what you talked about is cut the noise, right? There are a lot of naysayers around
Hmm.
who will challenge, who will tell you that things won't happen, things won't move, right? How do you remain optimist across these many years? Because it's not less, it's around 25, 30 plus years, it's not less. So if we can talk about a few instances, that will be great. I mean, how have you actually gone ahead and cut the noise, right, and did what you wanted to do? I mean, if you want to share something, I mean, my audience
Yeah,
would love it.
sure. I mean, we all humans, and we have those days sometimes when we are totally down and things are not going the
Hmm.
way you want it to go. But
Yep.
what has happened with me is having that positivity and the belief in yourself, right? My
Hmm.
thing is when I wake up in the morning, if
Hmm.
I say, oh, it's going to be a stressful day, it is going to be a stressful day. So having that positive attitude right from the beginning of the day, saying, whatever comes in, I'm gonna work through it,
Hmm.
maintain the positivity, create the negative out of your life, because that will lead you nowhere. So
Hmm.
that's one of the things I live by is get up in the morning.
Hmm.
I do a lot of meditation, and my faith is a big thing in my life. And say, today is going to be a good day. That's just saying that aloud. Today is going to be a good day. Just changes the mentality of me for that day. Even though I know, I have all these challenges during the day, but if I set that for me from the beginning of the day,
Hmm.
then you can conquer anything. You can just do anything. Do we have challenges? Yeah, you'll have challenges, but just having that positive mind of
Hmm.
like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be a good day.
I think that That's the most important thing, right? I mean, having that positivity, and I mean, what you touched upon is meditation, right? I think that what keeps you going, because
Keeps
that's
you going.
interesting.
Yes.
Uh, Now, Amrita, this is more very specific to credit unions. A question, right? Now, all regions are very different. Credit
Mm-hmm.
unions in New York versus credit unions in the Bay Area, they're very different in the way how they operate. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Bay Area is full of technology, right? I mean that's what I can relate to, with a bunch of fintechs to neobanks, right, to the chimes of the world, competing against them, or with the, I mean, California is a state with the highest number of credit unions. Competing is a very wrong word to use, but there are a lot of credit unions and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of regional banks out there. So, how do you think is the credit union ecosystem moving, or industry moving? The movement actually working on in California? I mean, if you want to talk about your basic overview about the credit union movement in California, one, followed by what are your predictions, Amrita? I mean, all of us know that there will be a rate cut that will happen right now. We don't know the exact amount, but there will be a rate cut being indicated, right? So there will be some reduction in pressure of earnings for all organizations around, right? That will have a positive correlation with the number of loans you're generating, because you are this year,
Mm-hmm.
right? So as a whole, if you want to talk about where the movement is going in California, and as a whole uh, in the entire country itself, I mean, what are your 2 cents for tomorrow of a credit union?
This is what I have always said in any setting. I would
Hmm.
say that the credit unions are not competition to each other. Our
Never.
competition is the fintechs and the bigger banks. So competition is fierce. Um, there is also just not the bigger banks and fintech. There's issues with membership growth. You know, credit unions on the whole have seen a decrease in membership, and
Yep.
just this year, loan delinquencies are up. Everybody is looking into those. But I think where the credit union is changing is the digital transformation. You know, I
Hmm.
think a lot of credit unions are accepting or enhancing the digital transformation to improve that member experience.
Yep.
And I think instead of thinking as fintechs as being their competition, if we work together with them, we can provide a better experience for our members. Another big thing is there's a lot of attention being placed on cybersecurity for the credit unions, and
Definitely.
tightening members' information, member privacy. That is happening a lot. And then the last thing I would say is we are becoming more member centric than sales driven. So there's more data collection of like what are our members doing, right? What are their needs, and then kind of getting the products and services that the members are used to. I mean, in one of our meetings, I said, and we are mid-sized credit union. We said, what is the expectation of our members? Well, they expect us to provide services that might be similar to Amazon, but they don't understand that we might not be able to do as fast service as Amazon, but that is the expectation, and that's what we need to strive to give that member experience. So I think more
Hmm.
being member centric and what they want, and what type of services and products they need. And I think as credit unions, we are doing that now. So those were the three things I think is really pushing the credit unions forward.
I mean, I could not align more to it, right? I mean, that's almost a similar thing I tell every single one. You need to have a real good reason for someone like me, someone like my friends, to be a member of a credit union, because experience is what we count. I mean, if you're talking about what does an average zillennial, I call myself a zillennial, right? What does an average zillennial or a Gen Z or even a millennial do with his or her financial institution? 85% Amrita, I use my financial institution as a vehicle to transfer money or to move money right?
Mhm.
So money movement is that has to be very smooth. I cannot afford a clunky experience of I'm using my checking account to transfer my money back to India. That can't be clunky. That has to be a smooth, the most smooth, right? One. Second, real time payments. There has to be integration with, I mean, now possibly, I would say, a Cash App or a Venmo or a
Mhm.
Zelle, right? I mean, those are difficult in terms of rising frauds, but you need to have those integrations ready.
Mhm.
Otherwise, someone like me won't use. I mean, that's like, basic. And there was another very interesting trend that I was reading, Amrita, is that in terms of channel preferences, right? What are the different channels that which people are actually looking onto credit unions, right? I mean, not credit unions, looking onto for maximum interaction. I think 46% of zillennials, basically, between who are like what between 30 and 35, or between 28 and 35, 46% of us, we want a sleek mobile app. We don't want to go to a website
Mhm.
to do all the nine yards. Followed by, I think, for for website was 21%. So 46% and 21%, that's like almost 70% of our interaction is with digital channels.
Yeah.
Followed by, I think the third one was uh, ATM. The fourth was a branch. I think it was 11 or 12% interaction that we do with a branch. I mean, so obviously that trend has to, I mean, that will stay. That won't, go
And
out.
you are so right. It's different generations too. We were kind of checking our adoption rate here. Yeah,
Mhm.
millennials and Gen Zs, they are there. I mean, it's unheard of for them, right? Without a internet or without a cell phone. But we also saw that the older generations, they are also adapting to this, right? I'm a
Absolutely.
prime example. I sit here in the office, but I never go to the branch because I do all my transactions on my mobile app, right? So
Exactly.
that is something that it's like unheard of not having a mobile application because that's how everybody interacts.
And I think, Amrita, talking about about a mobile app experience, right? The experience also counts really much. I mean, I just want to quote. I want to quote a friend of mine, Parry. Parry is a pen fed. So Parry leads the mobile app development for pen fed. So he led the entire development from the 0 to 1 journey, right? When I hear his journey, I feel so good that credit unions are really, really serious in putting that attention and dollar in giving their. I mean, I if you think in that way, I won't call myself a member when I'm using a mobile app. I'm a consumer. I'm using a
Hmm.
mobile app. I want that good consumer experience, right? So more and more credit unions are thinking of their members as just not members, but as end consumers. How to improve consumer experience, right? And I'm glad that a lot of us are talking about it in multiple forums, and we are very serious about it, right? I mean, 5 years back, this wasn't a huge topic, but now it is, right? And
Now
I'm
it
glad
is.
to hear, I'm glad to hear, Amrita, about your uh, feedback that fintechs should not be considered as competitors, but more of how can we build that connective tissue between a credit union and a fintech so that credit unions win. And there are fintechs who actually want to help you. I mean, with
That's
honest
what I
intentions.
said. Let's have a partnership instead of thinking of them as competition. Let's work together because I think we both sides can help each other out.
Absolutely. Samita, this was a very heartfelt conversation and a very candid one. It was not a scripted. Uh, Again, thank you for your time. I mean, we appreciate this.
No, thank you. I would like to thank you for having me on, and this was fun to do.
Thank you, Amrita. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.